Hello and welcome back to Man v Film. It's time for Radiance's November announcements, and there are a couple of big titles here and some interesting partner label releases as well. Now, I've not dove fully into everything here. We're going to do it together, so let's jump in and have a look. So first up, we have the next kind of UHD upgrade for one of their previous titles, which is Miami Blues, which is one of those films that I just absolutely adore. We have George Armitage adapted celebrated noir author Charles Wilford's novel Miami Blues for the screen with star Alec Baldwin in the lead role as psychopathic criminal Frederick J. Fringer. Arriving in Miami fresh out of jail, he commits one crime after another when he meets young hooker Susie, who he starts to build a pseudo-married life with, including the home cooking and the white picket fences. Just as Frederick tries to juggle domesticity with his mounting crimes, dogged cop Hoke Mosley threatens to put his freedom in jeopardy. Baldwin is brilliant as the unhinged criminal tearing through Miami, while Armitage perfectly balances the humour and violence in a singular crime comedy that betrays the quirky influence of producer Jonathan Demme. I believe this has got much of the same extras as was on the previous release. If you didn't get it, if it's sold out now and you're looking to upgrade it, then yes, I think it's one of those kind of vibrant, colourful films. Being in Miami, I think the UHD could look pretty interesting. And, if you missed out, it's an interesting one. Then we have A Free Woman. On the cusp of marriage, Liana becomes convinced she shouldn't live a life in service of a man. Instead, she leaves for Amalfi, where she embarks on an affair. From there, she makes for Paris, but each new adventure is compromised by some kind of emotional constraint, culminating in a final act of tragedy. Vittorio Cotafavi's emotionally complex story exhibits the melodramatic finesse of Douglas Sirk with a style reminiscent of Max Ophuls. A remarkable modern exploration of female autonomy. A Free Woman has been newly restored by Radiance and is presented in home video for the first time outside of Italy. Got a 2K restoration, uncompressed mono. We have an archival interview with the director, interview with Italian film expert Stephen Gundel, reversible sleeve, booklet, and it's limited to 3,000 copies. One of those ones that doesn't initially jump out at me as something I really need to see. There is probably more in this than I expect, and sometimes it's a good place to be where you temper your expectations and hopefully be blown away. Next, we have Simone Barbès or Virtue. Working as an usherette at a porn cinema, Simone squabbles with her colleague as they welcome their peculiar clientele. After her shift, she waits for her girlfriend at a lesbian nightclub full of eccentric characters before sharing a slow drive home with a stranger. Marie-Claude Trélieu's mercurial triptych is rich in style, funny detail, and heady atmosphere. Queer for the marginal stories it tells, for its offbeat aesthetic blend of irony and sincerity. Simone Barbès or Virtue is a gem of the post-new wave, capturing both the thrilling possibilities and compelling absurdities of nighttime Paris. We have a 4K scan, uncompressed mono, PCM audio, Lourdes Levier, short film by Marie-Claude Trélieu, new visual essay by film critic Lillian Crawford, new interview with film scholar Elena Gorfinkel, archival French TV interview with the star, newly improved English subtitle translation, reversible sleeve, booklet, and it's limited to 3,000 copies. Sounds somewhat interesting. They do mention, Rosa La Rose, Fille Publique, as a film from the same production company. If it's anything like that, I'm going to be into it. I'm curious about that. It sounds interesting enough. Next, I'd say we have a huge announcement coming exactly a year after the first Radical Japan set. We have Radical Japan, Survival and Desire, 6 films by Shohei Imamura. Incredible. That's an absolute incredible, just sounding box set. See, the The second installment in our series exploring Japan's most groundbreaking films and filmmakers focuses on the country's premier iconoclast, two-time Palme d'Or winner Shohei Imamura. This collection presents three classics in 4K. Pigs and Battleships vividly portrays life around a US naval base. The Insect Woman establishes the characteristically resilient Imamura heroine, which broke every rule for portraying women in Japanese film. And Intentions of Murder continues and perfects his portrayal in epic form. Also included are Imamura's rarely seen first three features. Stolen Desire follows the travails of vivacious theatre group. Nishi Ginza Station is a tale of infidelity executed as a musical, and Endless Desire sees ex-soldiers digging for wartime loot. So it says we've got 4K restorations of Pigs and Battleships, The Insect Woman, and Intentions of Murder. High-def digital transfers of Stolen Desire, Nishi Ginza Station, and Endless Desire. 4K and Blu-ray presentation of the features Pigs and Battleships, The Insect Woman, and Intentions of Murder, and Blu-ray presentation of all features and extras. Introduction to Pigs and Battleships by screenwriter and Imamura's son, Daisuke Tengan. Visual essay by author Jasper Sharp. Introduction to The Insect Woman by Dolores Martinez. Conversation between Shohei Imamura and Tadao Sato about The Insect Woman. Introduction to Intentions of Murder by programmer and Imamura biographer Bastian Mirison. Conversation between Imamura and Sato about Intentions of Murder. Visual essay by Sam Dean on Desire in Imamura's films. Interview with scholar Jennifer Coates on Stolen Desire and Nishi Ginza Station. Introduction to Endless Desire by filmmaker and stage director Kenta Fukasaku. English subtitles, reversible sleeve, 120-page book, and it's limited to 5,000 copies. This, for me, is a huge release. Three of these films, at least three, have been released in Blu-ray also, but getting them in 4K is just incredible. Imamura is a filmmaker whose work is always worth checking out, and it now takes him up to 9 movies within the Radiance range when you have The Eel, Warm Water, Under a Red Bridge, and The Pornographers. Along with this, there is building a real trait of Imamura films here, and I am all for that. This sounds fantastic. I really love how they went for a really big name in the second set here. I enjoyed the first set. The films were mixed. I already know that this is a better caliber of movie here, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this. And I think this will sell out really fast. Next, from Transmission, we have Nadja, this is one I don't really know about. When Van Helsing kills Dracula with a stake through the heart, the Count's daughter, Nadja, sets out to reclaim his body, embarking on a dark odyssey that begins in the streets of downtown Brooklyn and ends in Transylvania. Sexy, funny, and with an achingly hip soundtrack featuring My Bloody Valentine and Portishead, Nadja is a blend of classic vampire horror, 90s independent filmmaking presented in glorious pixel vision. A new 4K restoration, we have uncompressed 2.0 and 5.1 Dolby Surround, The Pain of Fleeting Joy, new critical appreciation, Comfort in the Shadows, a location tour, The Cult of Nadja, interview with programmer on the film's cult legacy, new interview with the star, new interview with the producer, new interview with another producer, new interview with the cinematographer and with the composer, and with the filmmaker. We have the US theatrical re-release trailer, English subtitles, book featuring new writing, and it's limited to 3,000 copies. Yeah, I mean, the story sounds interesting. It sounds a bit crazy. I am, yeah, really kind of curious about that one. I was just checking to see if it was a 4K or not. It's a Blu-ray. Do you know anything about this? Because I know nothing at all, and I'd really like to know more. Next, we have another Raro video release. This one is a 4K, and it is The Ghost. Following on from the horrible Dr. Hitchcock, Italian horror master Riccardo Freda and scream queen Barbara Steele reunite with the ghost. In 1910, Scotland Margaret and her lover, Dr. Charles Livingston, plot to murder her wealthy, wheelchair bound husband, Dr. John Hitchcock, hoping to claim his fortune. But after John's death, their carefully laid plans begin to unravel when his inheritance vanishes and terrifying supernatural events plague the isolated estate. As ghostly apparitions, seances, and mounting paranoia drive the lovers towards madness, they are forced to question whether John's vengeful spirit has truly returned from the grave, or whether a far more sinister deception is at work. Ricardo Freda's gothic chiller blends murder, betrayal, and spectral terror with unforgettable atmosphere, newly restored in 4K from the original negative. So we have the 4K of the long lost original camera negative by Severin Films, a 4K and Blu-ray presentation, uncompressed mono PCM Italian and English audio tracks, a commentary with Eugenio Ercolani and Troy Howarth, newly filmed interview portrait of director Richard Freda, visual essay by Tim Lucas, featurette on the controversy tied to the soundtrack, trailer, reversible sleeve, new improved English subtitle translation, and a booklet containing new writing by Kim Newman. And I, for one, I'm so glad to see another Raro title because it's been a little while since we had the last one. I pick these up, they're generally just great. I'm really curious to see their first 4K as well, and I've heard good things about this film, so it is for me really kind of exciting and something to check out. And then finally from Chasm is Mulberry Street. Now, I've seen this a long while ago and I like it. It's a fairly solid movie. Let's dive into it. At the dawn of the 21st century, a diverse group of residents, including boxer Clutch and his veteran daughter Casey, their close friend Coco, and single mother Kay, and elderly roommates Charlie and Frank, live alongside each other in a tenement block on New York's historic Mulberry Street. A few days before they're all due to be forcibly evicted to make way for a luxury housing, a virus carried by sewer rats breaks out into their neighbourhood, turning its victims into horrifying hybrids of human and rodent. Debut feature by Jim Mickle, who did Cold in July and some other amazing movies as well, and the first of several collaborations between Mickle and his co-writer Nick D'Amici, who did Stakeland, which is also terrific. Mulberry Street is a visceral, low-budget marvel of independent American horror, and a pointed commentary on the gentrification and class war. So this is a world Blu-ray premiere. This is the first time it's been on Blu-ray. That's incredible. Wow. We get a standard definition digital transfer sourced from the original mini DV, approved by director Jim Mickle, and encoded by Fidelity in Motion. The Neighbourhood is Changing, a feature-length retrospective documentary on the making of Mulberry Street, featuring new interviews with the cast crew, new audio commentary with Jim Mickle and Linda Moran, new video essay on Mulberry Street, The Underdogs, a short horror film by Jim Mickle, Tools, Last Legs and the Jam, early short films by Jim Mickle, behind-the-scenes footage, makeup test, visual effects, deleted scenes, storyboards, early director sketches, English subtitles, a booklet, and it's limited to 3,000 copies. Wow, that's great. Great release. Again, I think this in general is a really strong announcement setup. You know, you've got some great Radiance titles there, of which the standout is absolutely the Radical Japan set, which is, I think this is when it's going to sell even quicker than the previous version, which sold really quickly. The Ghost on 4K, another Raro title, fantastic. Mulberry Street, first ever Blu-ray release of that, which is incredible to hear. And more. There's just more coming out. It's just great announcement after great announcement. If I had to pick one release, it is the Radical Japan set, which is absolutely essential for me. I can't wait to get more Imamura and check that out, see the new 4K scans of those movies, which I'm sure will be absolutely excellent. I would love to know, what's your standout? What do you think of these announcements? What are you planning to get or planning to miss out on? I'd love to know your thoughts, so drop me a comment in the comment box below. As always, there is more content up here. You can see more of my stuff in the description box below, our links to Patreon, membership program, and manvyfilm.com, always in which you can support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.